What we done started. Look at what we done started. This the people party.
What's up, party people in the place to be? It is Talib Kweli, the BKMC, the MCEO, the Little Lebowski Urban Achiever. I'm coming to you live from my remote hideout. I used to be in the trap house. I've upgraded a little bit. You see we got plants in the background. This is the people's party. We are respecting the social distancing. I want you to give it up to my lovely and talented, always thought-provoking, always funny co-host Jasmin Leigh. What's up, Jasmin? How you feeling?
What's up? I'm great. How are you doing?
Good, good, good. You are quarantining it up over there in Los Angeles?
Yes, man. In my new apartment. I'm living the life over here.
How is it?
It's great. I'm just trying to get everything unpacked slowly but surely. We're getting there.
Okay, well, that's a good segue because we're going to do a lot of unpacking today. Now, we always have very interesting guests, and a lot of guests are my friends, but this guest that we have today is probably one of the most interesting and probably one of my better friends that we're gonna have on this thing. He is a comedian. I know you love the comedians, Jasmin.
Yes, and I love this one a lot too.
Yes, this comedian right here that we have might be one of the best stand-up comedians I've ever seen in my whole life. I mean, this man takes the stage and he mutilates the stage. I mean, I've seen him do incredible things in front of some of the biggest comedians in the world and still make that stage his own. If you were to pay this man $1 for every time you said one of his jokes out loud, he would be like a multi-trillionaire. Wherever you live in the world, this man is gonna come through. Well, let me rephrase that. Wherever you live in America, this man will come through. I don't know if he's doing comedy every place in the world, but I know he's global, he's international. You might know him from Guy Code, you might know him from The Last OG, you might know him from Spider-Man 2, The Wire, Black Dynamite. You definitely know him from the Chappelle Show. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the one, the only, the talented, the funny, Donnell Rawlings in the place to be on the People's Party. Give it up.
Am I on? Yes. Is my mic on, son?
Is my mic on?
Yo,
check 1 2.
Hey, yo, I'm old school like Lottie Dottie. From Marcy to LA, now I'm rocking with the People's Party.
Yes.
People know me as Donnell. Yo, let me get my bars. Stop cutting me off, son.
All right, go ahead.
People know that I'm ashy now. I'm spitting facts with a real nigga. Kweli. What's up?
People,
I couldn't rhyme. Jasmin, I couldn't rhyme. I couldn't put you in the rhyme. I'm sorry.
People don't know that you've been trying to give me
Donnell.
People don't know that you've been trying to get me to sign you to Javoti as a rap artist for quite some time now.
Yeah, and they also know that you're disrespectful. And when you told me that one of your closest friends, I'm like, really? Where's my deal, son? What's on my deal?
I'm gonna tell the people how on Friday night, Dave Chappelle had a social distance minded comedy event in Yellow Springs. We both in Yellow Springs, but we in different rooms right now, right?
I was gonna blow it up. I was like, nigga, you right over there. I was about to be like, look, wait, I'll be right back, son.
But we gotta do it for the people, you know, because the people gotta know that we at least trying, you know, we trying out here.
They're gonna
drag
us.
Dave had this special social distancing comedy event, and shout out to Cypher Sounds and Michael Che and Michelle Wolf and all the comedians who rocked. But you rocked, and then you forced me to perform. And you made fun of me on stage until I was forced to come out and defend myself through rap.
Okay, now let me explain what really happened, all right?
Okay.
First off, you was there the night before, right?
Uh-huh.
And you was chilling. You was like, oh, I don't, you know, no pictures. Just keep 6 feet. You know what I'm saying? And like, I'm like this. You know, I look at it like this, son. When we together as family, you know, I just feel like we always gonna hit the stage, whether it's one song, an album, or whatever. I can't really spit. And then I asked you to go on, and I know part of this situation was you hadn't performed in a while. That night, particularly, was my first time on stage in like 85 days. So I do know, you know, how that feel, but I also know when I went out there, how it felt to really connect with a live audience, right? And then I was like, you gonna do something? You was like, and you looked at me, this what you did, you looked at me like this, what, please, right?
That's
Yo, son, you looked at me like this. Anytime a brother look at you like this, what? And look like this, he ain't gonna fuck with you, that's it, right? And then you was backstage, and I was like, yo, Kweli is back there, y'all. He gonna come out. And then you came out that night, and I was like, oh, man, we had so many much feedback on how that was a nice way to end the night. And then I was like, oh, we in Yellow Springs, nigga. We in Yellow Springs. They had a Black Lives Matter protest the other day. It was 10 people in the protest, black people. And that was they was all Dave's family. Yeah, they was. His son was no justice and no peace, all of them, son. So the next day, you came again, right? And this time you looked at me more disrespectful than the last time. And you looked at me, somebody could say, look at you a certain way, you looked at me like, this nigga better not ask me to perform, right? That's the look. You didn't say it, right? But not only that, I don't know if people could see me, man, but you was sitting there with a sense of arrogance. You was sitting like this, way back. If y'all can look at me now, but if y'all see, this my knee, right? His knee was all the way up to his chest. Yo, and he was twirling, look, and he was doing his feet like Bill Cosby. He was like this. He was like this, right? Then he said, not gonna go in there. So I was like, I said, nigga, I thought you was Brooklyn. What up? What the frack? Nigga, what the rock? Right?
Yeah, you said only Brooklyn niggas know how to say frack.
Frack, right. And then when you wasn't going to perform, I said, what the frack, right? I'm like, the frack is we doing, right? I'm like, the frack is going on here. And you wouldn't go on. You didn't want to go on. And we was about to close the show. And I knew, I was like, man, this going to test our friendship because I know this nigga is mad at me, right? I said, this nigga going to be like this. See, now you know why you don't got a record deal, nigga. It's shit like this. Right.
You told them people in the audience, you said, see, Kweli backstage, he don't want to perform in front of all y'all crackers.
Right.
Oh my God.
And that's why I had to come out. It was cracking up after that.
At least it was an A and not an ER.
And then he came up and he came behind me. It was a good moment. And I know it's kind of tough. I didn't mean to disrespect your space or anything, but I was like this. I know how I felt the night before. I know how the audience felt. And I know how Dave rocked, so I'm glad that you did. But guess what? The next show, that nigga's like, I ain't going. Fuck that. I ain't fucking with him.
Because I was too busy doing people party interviews. I got drunk during the interviews and fell asleep. But you sang the hook on Get By, so I appreciate you.
Yo, you put me pressure on me. You was like this, okay, well, you doing it with me. I was like, because everybody know me as Ashley Larry. I said, just to stay dry, just to stay dry. Yo, and I lift my shirt up, son, and I had a fingernail tattoo of Ash Life on the side, son, scratched on my stomach. No. Fuck the streets up, son.
But yo, so on the Joe Rogan show, I got another pet peeve. You said on the Joe Rogan show that if someone has too many pairs of glasses, they are becoming an asshole, right? So I'm over here like this. I'm over here like, hold on, I got this pair.
Yeah, exactly. That's the same motherfucker that would twiddle his toe. Look,
then I got this. Then I got this pair. Hold on.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. That's called money, nigga. You know you got money when you remember when you was little, son. You break them glasses. You have tape on the side of that shit and everything, son.
But Donnell, what about hats? Because Talib has 10 million hats. I don't think I've seen him repeat one.
Nah, he don't. He's a hat and the glasses dude.
I'm like the nigga from the I'm not a rapper dude. I'm the glasses, jacket, shirt man.
Yeah,
so you're a
son.
full-blown asshole right now with the hats and the glasses.
That's been simmering up for some years, I gotta say.
Now, do you remember when I'm gonna break the story down. I went to see Jasmin do like this black comedy night at the Comedy Store. What's it called?
Crack 'em Up Thursdays.
Crack 'em Up Thursdays, and I went to see because I was planning to go see Jasmin and all her friends trying to make it in the comedy business. But the problem is that they invited you, Donnell, and you went on stage, and you destroyed that motherfucking stage so bad. And all the jokes after you was how everybody had to follow Donnell Rawlings, including Jasmin. So why you did that?
Why? No. It was like an hour-long performance. It was
he's murdered.
No, but you know what? It's so weird the way I came up in comedy. It's like that. Sometimes people always just say you can't follow somebody or you can't do this, but I always thought it was challenging to go. Me personally, it's challenging to go behind tough acts. The only way you're going to build your strength is when you test it. You know what I'm saying? Anybody, you can always you could easily set up a lineup where it's like, okay, that person's going to be this, that person's going to be that, and then it's a build up to the end. But you got to throw people out there. And I'm never going to go on stage playing around. I've been doing it for 27 years, and I can honestly say every night that I go on the stage, I'm trying to gut it. Like, 27 years, you know? And this is another tough thing to say. I've been doing it for 27 years. After 27 years, and I'm talking about I had heights in my career where I thought my standard was like, there's no way I could have another level of this, right? But after 27 years, I honestly say that every year I get better. And we're talking about after you saw me one year like smoking shit. This is not cocky. It's only the truth. And my peers and people I work with say that every year I get better. Every time I go on stage, I'm trying to learn something different. I'm trying to, if I smoke the show, like an 8 o'clock show at 10, I'm trying to gut that one. If I got 3 more shows the next day, I'm trying to gut it because you're only as good as your reputation. And the harder you go, you know, people to respect that. And there's not too many people that can say, and I've took some L's, but it's not too many people can say that they remember me bombing.
I've never seen you bomb personally.
Word up. Now, Michael Che, who was also out here, told me that when we performing jokes for people who are in lockdown, we performing jokes like he had did this thing, this N-word, he was doing a special from the back of a truck, performing for people in the street. Protesters. He described it as being like our version of a USO tour. A lot of people don't know that you was in the Air Force. You Top Gun, nigga. You know what I'm saying?
I'm Top Gun, but I wasn't in the Air Force because I was patriotic. You ain't gonna write a song about me, son. All right? yo, I left that shit. I left the military singing Public Enemy, Black Steel in the Night of Chaos, son. I got a letter from the government. I was like,
the other day, word is born.
Yeah.
Bob Hope, Rob Riggle, Sinbad, a lot of classic comedians have been in the armed forces. Do you feel like that helped you? And how did you feel? You know, how was it being in the military with your mentality, knowing how racist this country is? When I was in, you know what? It's so weird because when I was in the military, when you go in the military, my experience, I didn't really feel that because like when you join the military, you like, when you first get on the bus and you go to basic training, first thing they do is cut your hair off, right? So when you're on the bus, you're like, that nigga from Alabama, look, he got finger waves. You knew what motherfuckers looked like. But once you cut your hair, everybody looked the same. But it became like in the military, it was like, it felt like a brotherhood with us. Like if another military guy run into another military guy, whatever branch he's in, you have an instant connection. You have an interconnection, an instant connection. And I was really, really young when I joined the military. And I never really had no racist experiences when I was there. I didn't really join the military because I was patriotic. I joined the military because I didn't want to go to jail and I didn't have no skills. And that's the reason most niggas join the military,
Yeah, most black people and Mexicans, it's like, I no disrespect, but that's just the truth of it. You know, the white dudes, they join the military so they can paint their face and hide behind trees and shit. Son. Like it might be one motherfucker behind you right now, son, in there talking about some 9 Bravo Charlie Delta Foxtrot. But
now you also learned Korean. You were stationed in South Korea, right?
Yeah, I learned. Well, not a lot of my bio says fluently, but I'm not fluent. I was at a conversation level where I could just maneuver through the culture. You know, I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't fluent, but I knew how the hookers couldn't rob me or cheat me out of money.
You know how to pick up chicks.
Hey, yo, the first phrase I learned was how to say, that shit too expensive, right?
Oh my God.
Yo,
too poku.
I go. I be like this. I tell them whole screen, I go. And you gotta do like this. Pisayo. You gotta act like you speak, son. You gotta be like, I go. Poji.
Yeah, man.
Pisayo. But
you used some of that on the Chappelle Show too, right? And some of them skits, some of your Korean.
One particular sketch, we did the Player Haters Bar. And I'm gonna tell you, the Player Haters Bar, that sketch, the reason why it was an ultimate hater sketch, because I had asked Neil Brennan, I said, shout out to Neil Brennan. He going through a little thing right now, right? In these streets.
Yeah.
I love you, bro. Appreciate all the opportunities you gave me, man. And I know that, sometimes I hope everything works out. So, I asked Neil, I said, what's the next sketch I'm gonna be on? And he said, Player Haters Ball. And I was like, cool. So one day I was looking at the call sheet and I saw they was shooting Player Haters Ball and I didn't see my name. So I said, nigga, and I call him nigga because people think he a white nigga, right? I said, why I'm not on the call sheet? He said, oh shit, I forgot, B. I said, how the fuck you gonna forget a whole nigga? Like, how you forget me? He said, oh, you want to do it? I'm like, duh. He said, well, just, I don't know, come up with something. So that night, I had to call wardrobe. I called Whitney. I said, I want to build this character. And at the time, The 5 Heartbeats was one of my favorite movies, right? Mm-hmm. And I said, could you give me an outfit that's on point to what something Eddie Kane Jr. would wear? I wanted
That's that old Eddie Kane.
Yeah, I wanted the sparkles. And you know, you could see I don't really have no hair. I tried to grow it during the pandemic. That shit turned into George Jefferson in 2 months.
We got the same problem, brother.
Yeah. But I let it go. I felt good. I'm gonna get back to the story, but when I let
George Jefferson, it felt good.
Yeah, the reason why I felt good, you know how some women hide behind makeup all the time. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like you never, and there's no disrespect to it. I know what that's about, but I know it's got to be something refreshing when you can present your all natural. Oh, yo, like on Chappelle side, we want to see your face. Show us your face. Right. So I called hair and makeup and I said, yo, I need a Jerry Curl wig, right? I'm gonna build this character, so I got a Jerry Curl wig. Mind you, this character didn't exist. I got wardrobe to give me that outfit. And then I wanted to, when I used to do that show, if you notice, I didn't really talk a lot on that show. If you have an editor cut or put on a timeline, how many times I actually spoke in that show, it's probably 5 minutes out of 2.5 years. But what I knew was whenever, and this could go out to anybody whenever they put the camera on me, I maxed everything I could out physically. I wanted to make people laugh before I even opened my fucking mouth. So I went to props and I said, yo, I need some activator for my Jerry curl. But I wanted the champagne glass, right? But he said, that's going to get kind of sloppy, right? So I said, okay, give me an aerosol spray can. So I was in there. I'm not even on the script. We about to shoot in like 5 minutes. I'm putting the character together. I'm squirting myself. Motherfuckers laughing. Bitches is laughing, right? They like, oh shit, I see you. Don't get that shit on me. I was like, that can't gonna work. I'm like, and at this point, I still didn't have a name. I said, Neil, what's gonna be my name? He was like, I don't know, give yourself something. I said, nigga, I thought you was the writer, right? So, and he said, and I was walking past this mirror and I looked past the mirror, I'm squirting myself, I'm looking like this, hit me 2 times, bitches. And I looked in the mirror and I said, man, I feel beautiful on these bitches. Hey, look, yo, son, this is how it came about. I said, I feel beautiful. And I said, ding, ding, you know how something hit? I said, beautiful, that's it. Your name is gonna be beautiful. And I told Neil my name was gonna be beautiful. And he looked at me like, that's so opposite of what you look like right now, right? And when you're talking about the Korean part, we had to do like a little testimonial. And I just started winging some Korean and then made the show. And that's the first time I think anybody's ever seen me speak any kind of Korean on any television show. But that was just a great time. That show, it's hard for me to have interviews with people and not touch on it. People always want to say,
of course,
do you get tired of it? But how can you get tired of being a part of one of the most iconic sketch shows in the history of television?
Facts.
Yeah, man. Neil said the same thing on this show. He said, you know, because I don't know how the question came up, but you know, he said, I look just like Idris Elba right now. Y'all don't see it?
Wait.
Yo, with the gray.
Yo, I look like Ashy Elba.
You look like
when he had COVID.
You look like pre-COVID Idris.
I was just like when he had COVID.
No, but Neil said that. He said, how can I get tired of being a part of one of the greatest things in comedy history? Like, how can I be annoyed by those questions?
The same thing when people, they ask me like, do you get tired of people calling you Ashy Larry? The fact they don't know is I've been ashy my whole life, son.
Oh my God.
Ashy the classy, Ashy the classy. But they don't give you props. I'm just about to say, they don't give you your props. They give you your props for Chappelle Show, but they don't give you your props for being a part of the Ricki Lake Show, which I feel like also is a part of coaching. Yo, son, that's the realest question a nigga ever asked me, son, right? When I was going to high school, they was filming Ricki Lake across the street from my high school, Brooklyn Tech. And then I got sent away to boarding school right when they started filming. So I watched Ricki Lake in boarding school, and I would see all my friends from Brooklyn in the audience. And it would fuck me up. I would have major FOMO.
Yo, it was so funny because I started doing the Ricki Lake Show probably a year before we started doing Chappelle Show. Mm-hmm. And at the time, they was like, They was when everybody was trying to do shows where like a panel of different personalities and stuff. They had a cast. It was myself, Heather B, Lauren Lake, who's now doing Paternity Court, and a couple of other people. But this one, like when we had to talk about relationships, stuff like that, this was our crew. And I was excited about doing that show because it came at a time where I wasn't really making a lot of money doing stand-up. So to be able to be a part of a television show that was syndicated, because when we used to do it, you would get paid like $1,200 just to do it for that day. But the shit was, boy, when them quarterly residual checks came in out of 40 markets, everybody's like, how you gonna do that show, Ricki? I was like, nigga, every time I open my mailbox, I'm like, go Ricki, go Ricki. And then, in real talk though, son, you know how part of Ricki Lake was part of our culture growing up. You know what I'm saying? Like, when I was at that time, there wasn't a lot of TV, period. So whatever you could get on, it was exposure. And I used to be in this so regularly, like I used to average like 3 or 4 shows a week, right? Where people start saying, yo, that's the dude from the Ricki Lake Show. You know, when I first moved to New York, you know the first time way I got on television? They used to do People's Court, right, in New York. And then when they leave out of the courtroom, they go on the street and ask questions, right? I found out where that spot was, nigga. I used to go to that bitch every day, acting like I'm just walking past, son. I was acting like I was confused, son. I was acting like shit. Yo, son,
I'm gonna find that.
Yo, and they ask a question. I'd be like this, no. Yo, they was like, yo, this, then I come in there like this, son. I was like, what? Yo, that was my credit, son. That was my credit for some time.
Were you already full-time comedy and acting when you saw the script for the Chappelle Show?
Yeah, I was full-time. Funny thing about it, I was, when I first started doing comedy, first time I ever went on stage, I crushed the room, right? And I was in DC for a while. In the DC comedy scene, especially if you're a Black comedian, it's like you become popular with the cabarets, you know, like the little one-nighters and stuff like that. But after a while, there's not too many opportunities there. You become like the mayor of that city, but it's not too much of a place to grow. You know, you got to leave. It's either New York or LA. I was doing comedy for 5 months, and I made Def Jam.
Wow.
The way I did Def Jam, Royale Watkins, a very good friend of mine, right?
Oh, I just did a show with him.
Yeah, Royale, he's one of the reasons I made my transition from DC to New York. And at the time, he was already signed with Rush Communication, Bob Sumner, right? So, and he would come to DC, and one time he gave me his business card. He wanted to let me know that he was being managed by Rush Communication, right? So he gave me his card, and because I wanted to do a show, he said, you got to call my people. I'm like, what? I never called the office to book him for a show. I said, let me call Rush Communication, and I'm gonna act like I already know Bob Sumner when I called. I said, I'm gonna act like cocky. And Christy, she picked up the phone, she said, Rush Communication, Bob Sumner office, how can I help you? I said, hey, yo, where Bob at? Is he there? She was like this, who is this? I was like, who is it? It's Donnell, it's Bob. All right, look, wait a minute, Donnell, hold on. Motherfucker, she patched me through. I was like this, oh shit, what I'm gonna say now, right? And I said, yo, I know you don't know me. I just tricked the receptionist. I'm a funny comic out of DC. I worked with some of the people, because he had everybody at that time. I said, I work with some people that's already on your roster. I just want to get a shot to perform at the Peppermint Lounge. And the Peppermint Lounge is one of the hardest rooms in New York. That was, if you thought Def Jam was tough, Peppermint Lounge was just the beginning of it. I mean, that was a tough run. So he said, you want to come up this week? I was like, oh no, I got to see if I can get off work. He said, you still got a job, right? I was like, oh shit. Second week, went up there, one of my friends, a good friend of mine, and I didn't even know some years later that we drove to New York in a stolen motherfucking car. I ain't even ask niggas where they got the car from. I just jumped
salad
in.
days.
Yep. And I went on stage, and like, it was one of those rooms like you could be going good for 6 minutes and then something had happened and then they forgot all about that shit. And I was on the stage and I was in the groove, and Royale came to the side of the stage while I was performing, and he said, Bob loves you. You got the show. I said, good night, everybody. and I got the fuck out of there, son.
Word up, word up.
And then fucking 9 months later, I was on one of the biggest platforms for black comedy of all time. You know,
that's very inspirational. But you were born and raised in D.C. and there's a
Alexandria,
vibrant,
Alexandria,
Virginia.
Yeah, because you know niggas get mad. You don't say it right, they get mad.
Right.
Yeah, they get
you
mad.
Gotta be right. You gotta be right.
Yeah.
But there's a vibrant black comedy scene in D.C. But where you had to go, but you also had to go from D.C. not just to New York, but to Brooklyn. You entrench yourself in Brooklyn, and a lot of people, you so Brooklyn, you be like, "What up, son?" That a lot of people think you from Brooklyn.
So
break down the differences, yeah.
I am from, and people can say what they want. Niggas always talking about, nigga, you grew up so and so. Yeah, we have parts of our life. Mm-hmm. We have parts of our life where that's where I'm from.
That's right.
And this wasn't, and I'm not saying I'm from Brooklyn because I lived there for like the first 6 months. Mm-hmm. I'm from Brooklyn because I lived there for 13 years. I'm from Brooklyn that I watched niggas get killed around me. I'm from Brooklyn that I went to my niggas' weddings. I went to funerals. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, when I first moved to Brooklyn, I lived in Fort Greene, and I'm from Brooklyn because I took a little restaurant they had called Palm Court Lounge, and this one nobody would let me get on stage, right, in New York. The niggas wouldn't fuck with me, and I had to make some money. So I went to this little open mic spot. They do it on Monday nights. And I went to this place for 3 weeks, and I saw they only had like 10 or 15 people, right? So I I said, yo, I'm a funny comedian, blah, 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 blah. I said, how about taking them, would y'all roll the dice on, I could pack this room out. And at the time, there was nothing to do. People always say, ain't shit to do on a Monday, right? So I named the night Something to Do on Monday.
Yes.
Right? And I took this night, and it became a staple for black comedy in Brooklyn. And I wasn't even from Brooklyn. Like, when I say Brooklyn fuck with me, they fuck with me, you know?
No doubt.
And I like, when I moved to DC, when I couldn't get on shows, I used to go there too, Brooklyn Moon Cafe.
Yep. I used to, for poetry, here, Snap.
Yeah, the Snap shit. Because they wouldn't let me tell jokes. Did they snap for the
jokes?
Yeah, because if people lived upstairs, they was trying to keep me quiet. That was the thing. Yeah. But the thing about it was, when I couldn't get on stage at the other places, I would go up there and say I'm a poet. And then I would go up there and start with a poem and just start roasting the motherfucking tree eating, tea drinking, no money spending ass, thoughtful ass, fucking all the white bitches ass niggas. Hey man, them black power niggas was tearing them white bitches up in that spot, son.
Oh man, I'm not even gonna get into how you told me that niggas is out here getting protest head.
Bro, boy, I'm telling you, I'm for the cause, son. But I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna never get no blowjob better than a Karen at a protest, nigga.
Now you took these.
Wait, son, I'm telling you, they look, yo, son. You ever get a blowjob with them looking at you like this? What can I do? Like.
I'm so sorry for my ancestors.
Hey, son, they like this, looking back at you with consciousness like this, son. Like, is there anything else I could do for you and your people? Yeah, bitch, you can. You stupid.
Can you explain the importance of having that hustler mentality and making it in the comedy world? Because you keep speaking on how you kept making your own opportunities.
This is something I've lived by from when I first started doing comedy. And it's a simple phrase. I know it's not original by me. Go hard or go home. You know what I'm saying? Either you got to go hard or you go home. And I always tell people, because I mentor a couple of people, I say, a thing you got to remember is that you got to be willing to do what the next person is not going to do. You got to take that extra mile. You got to take that extra step. I'll give you an example as a reference back to Chappelle Show. This was after I had already coined the phrase, I'm rich, bitch, right? So I was in the show. Like, they thought about me with the writing and everything. And we had another comedian that was supposed to do this character, this sketch. And he was cocky about it. He wanted all this money and then he was on set for an hour trying to get the scene right. Eventually they had to scratch it. And Dave played the part. So before, Dave and Neil had the power where they could just say who they wanted on the show. But after this dude wasted so much of Comedy Central money, Comedy Central, later I found out, I think it might have been just Neil, but Comedy Central wanted to give everybody opportunity for these roles. It's like have a casting call. And then Neil told me, he said, yo, you got to audition for the. I was like, what, nigga? I'm rich, bitch. Like, what are you talking about? I'm looking around like, who are you talking to? I'm like this. He said, you got to audition. I was like, why? He said, well, and I told myself that night, now this is the difference. I could have been an asshole. You know what I'm saying? I could have been a guy sitting backstage with his legs crossed, twirling his feet with 8 different pairs of glasses. I didn't want to be that. I didn't want to get in touch with my inner quality at the time, son. Right?
I'm about to change glasses on you. What?
I know you. That's funny, son.
Yes,
so
Talib.
I said, I could have went home and said, man, fuck that, man. I ain't audition. Just make me an offer. That's all I want. Offer. You know, some people do that, offer only. And I knew, I said, if I do that, well, you know what's going to happen. You definitely ain't going to be in another sketch if you don't go for the shot. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do I do? So I went in that audition and I lit that motherfucker on fire, son. And then after the audition, I looked at the camera, I said, so now do I got to keep auditioning or what? The fuck? And I never auditioned. I never auditioned again. But back to your question, it's like, it's a very tough business. This applies to rap, anything, especially in entertainment. You got to be built a certain way. You got to be built. I always tell people, first thing, if you start in the comedy business, is that you have to be able to be happy broke. Period. If you can't, some people can't handle broke. Some niggas not love broke, but it's all good. You know what I'm saying? And when I'm saying broke, I don't mean like your mind got to stay working, your mental. You can't have that attitude of this is what it's going to be. You always got to know, like, I'm just, like my mother used to say, I ain't broke. I just ain't got to my money yet. You know what I'm saying? Right. Because most of the time, it's a different era now because with social media and everything, how people can make their own opportunities and how quick people can blow up. When I was coming up, it was flyers. Nigga, flyer. It was flyer to flyer, and it was word of mouth. But you gotta be willing, again, to do the thing that the next person gonna do. I remember when I moved to Brooklyn, I used to do shows for $20, and I'd be happy as a motherfucker. I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna get, because when I moved from DC, Alexandria to New York, I'd never been to a deli where you could get as much lunch meat as you want, like how much by the weight. It's like, we came from, it's like, nigga, you get the whole pack of bologna, that's it, nigga, ain't nobody got this shit, right? Right. And I remember I heard $20.
A hoagie and a mystic.
What? You already know what it is, son. Yo, I would be like this, and I was
dollar hoagie and a mystic.
Easy.
That's like $1.50 meal.
And you good. I used to say, I want $1.32 worth of the honey roasted turkey, right? And I would tell them to slice it thin. You get to slice it however you want. But I never felt like I didn't have anything because I knew I was going to get it. I could just feel, I could feel money. I said, boy, if you're good enough, if you get good enough of this, you can make money of it. People always say, I know I talk a lot. People always say, somebody said something, Donnell, about fame. Right? And I told this dude, I said, I never once did I want to be famous. Everything in my career, it just happened like, oh shit, it led to the next thing. I never wanted to be famous. But I knew if I was good at it, the fame would come. But that was never my thing. I'm like, just be nice. It'll come. You know?
Now, speaking of fame and money, our friend Dave Chappelle infamously walked away from a lot of money. $50 million at the height of his fame. Now, you and other cast members, people working on Chappelle Show, y'all were still involved in the show. Was it ever weird at that point when the Chappelle Show seemed to be ending spectacularly, but y'all as people working on the show weren't quite sure what the direction was?
Well, it ain't never seemed to be ending. It just ended, nigga. That nigga was a werewolf one day and that nigga was in Africa the next day, son. But it was so funny, son. I remember Charlie was Frankenstein, I was the mummy, and Dave was a werewolf, right? And I knew I could feel something was strange, nigga. Because that nigga, he was like this. And he said, I guess 50 million ain't enough. And I was like, two? I was like, who? And it was like, and when he left the show, it was like, real shit, I was kind of happy when he left the show. And the reason why I say that, because when we were doing Chappelle Show, it wasn't a big money gig for us. For me, it was a big money. For Charlie, it wasn't a big money gig for Bill Burr, because it didn't pop yet where we could use it to, you know, it was still, it was simmering. So, and I had came up with the idea, I was like, we got to get some money. I came up with the idea of doing this tour called the I'm Rich Bitch tour, right? I was like, yo, we can't.
I saw them shows too.
Yeah.
I saw a couple of shows.
I'm like, man, we got to figure out something. Charlie Murphy never told a joke in his life at the time. And Bill Burr, and I've said this on different podcasts, Bill Burr was a bubbling comedian. He was probably doing B comedy room, but everybody knew certain talent you just see, you could just know it's only a matter of time. You could tell that. But still, he wasn't as recognizable from the show as me and Charlie. So I had to bully Charlie into going to do stand-up, because Charlie we would roast, me and him, we would go so hard. And I'd be like, yeah, nigga, you tough in your movies and shit. I say, but let a microphone come to this motherfucker. You ought to be like a dog with his tail in his ass and walk away. I used to always fucking dog him. And finally, I took him to an open mic one time. We started the I'm Rich Bitch tour, and we did that for like a year and a half. But the time that we did it was when Dave went away. So now it's like he was, because we didn't know if he was gonna come back, but he was like, oh, all right, take your time, nigga. We gonna go get this money. And then we found out that he never was gonna come back. And it was a tough situation because Comedy Central had an archive of sketches that they had already shot. It was a lost episodes. And
musical guests. I was one of the musical guests of the lost episode from something that we had put out. Yeah, and it was a interesting situation because you have Comedy Central on one end. It's like, all right, we did pay for these. We can't just not do it. And then you had on the other end is, what do you do? And that was a tough decision for me and Charlie to host the lost episode, because nobody had walked through that curtain. It was his show. Nobody had walked through that curtain. You know what I'm saying? At the time, he hadn't really communicated his thoughts on what he wanted to do. Like, if a nigga would have called me and said, yo, son, don't do it, I wouldn't have fucked with it, you know? But also, it was an opportunity for me, because I still was getting a name for myself. And it was another opportunity for people to continue to see what I bring to comedy. And I think that me and Charlie did it in the most tasteful way that we could do it. When Charlie was like, he said, man, we didn't want to come out here. I said, fuck that, speak to yourself, nigga. I need as much camera time as I can get. Right. It was like, you know, some people feels like that lost episodes kind of sold the audience short. But what do you do but try to do something creative so people can continue to see the work? Yeah, man. And shout out to Charlie Murphy. Rest in peace. That was a huge loss for the comedy community, huge loss for black people, just for the world of entertainment in general. And obviously you had to get close to Charlie at that time. And he became family. Was he just such a natural storyteller on set? Because this is the first time I'm hearing. I never even realized that Charlie wasn't doing stand up, but that makes sense. First time I seen Charlie was in, like, you know, them old videos, K9 Posse videos, and then you see him in CB4. He's such a comedic presence in CB4 and other things he's doing on the Chappelle Show. You would just naturally assume he'd be good on stand up, but. Tell us about the legacy of Charlie Murphy and how that have inspired you.
Well, it was my brother, man. Like, you know, my father used to say a phrase about certain people, right? When he really connected with them. And you know how when an old head say, man, that's a good nigga. And it's not, white people, don't take it wrong. You know what I'm saying? It's a sense of integrity. It's a lot of stuff that goes there. And he was a good nigga, man. That was my nigga. He was
bond.
A solid friend. He was loyal as hell. If he rocked with you, he would rock with you. He had integrity. And he just was a great guy to be around. You know? And like you said about the stories, like Charlie would sit around, and that's how the Prince and the Rick James sketch happened, because he would sit around and just tell us stories. And he would tell a story with such detail that, you just started writing in your mind. You just started writing. You was like, that was it, man. He was a good friend. But I'm gonna tell you, man, that motherfucker was a roast master, son, that never stopped. I remember talking about my beef. They be talking about my beef that I be having with people. Man, me and Charlie Murphy, if you go to his Instagram right now, right? Nigga, literally, it's like 8 pages of just memes directed at me. Like no break, back to back to back, man.
I remember Charlie Murphy went on, he was in the Mo Better Blues, and he told Spike Lee, how about I kick you in your flat back and watch you grow a butt?
Yo, you know what? I'm pretty sure that was an improv.
That was improv.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he was really good at that. But he just was a really good dude, man. Very humble. When I first met him, I knew him the same way you knew him from when he was rapping and all them other stuff. And then the motherfucker just come off like a real gangster. His look just looks like that. But dude had one of the biggest hearts of anybody I've ever met in my life, man. Just a great guy.
Word up. Now, also, Chappelle Show alum is Michael Rappaport. And Michael Rappaport did sketches on my albums. And I need you for that Diamond D joint. We're going to talk more about that.
Yo, the interrupter, son. I'm interrupting. Yo, son, let me say something, son. Let me say something, son.
But we had Michael Rappaport on. He was very gracious. He came on the show. And we had a clip that went viral because Michael Rappaport, as you know, he's not just an actor, but he also does stand up. He also does funny stuff on his podcast and all that. And he had got into an argument with Kenya Moore from Love and Hip Hop, and he called her ashy, right? And so he said her feet was ashy.
I remember that. That happened on your podcast. I remember that.
Yeah. So me and Jasmin were talking about it and talk about how the black community feels about ashiness. And I will say this. Before I get your answer, I will say that shout out to Michael Rappaport. He took some heat, and it was a difficult conversation we had. Him and Jasmin got into it because he was on one side of the ashy conversation. You was on the other side of the ashy. Jasmin was on the other side of the ashy conversation. So now that we got Ashy Larry in the house, and I will say that a lot of the comments on my page when I posted the clip, most of the comments, the vast majority of the comments, sided with Michael Rappaport. Mm-hmm. They said that they didn't feel like he was being racist or he was being racially insensitive by saying that black woman's feet was ashy. Ashy Larry, do you feel like white people should not be calling black people ashy without being...
Man, let me tell you something, man. No, you probably can't... Let me see. Look, stop playing.
Oh my God, get the man some lotion.
Listen. Yo, the ashy is like the N-word, right?
Yes.
It all depends on how you... Yo, I believe in anywhere it's in the context. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like the word nigga wouldn't have been such a hard word if it wouldn't accompany with a lash at the end of it. That's how you really enforce a word. You put that behind that shit. But it's tough for me because, like I say, I don't get offended when personally, I don't get offended about ashy. Now if they call it ashy, now if you do ashy, nappy, headed hoe together,
you just hit him with the Don Imus.
Yeah, you hit him with the blue, black,
right.
Blah. But me personally, first off, people always gonna find something to be offended about. You know what I'm saying? I personally don't have an issue with it. But I know that I've in certain circles, and I've heard that people try to use it as a racial slur, but I don't have that connection with it. Okay. Yo, can you imagine think about it, son. Can you imagine if I got offended every time somebody called me ashy? I would have more mics on one show than Neil Brennan got in the 3 mic special, son.
Right.
I have too many personalities to deal with that, but I'm not saying what you can say, but I don't take offense to it.
when I first met you, Donnell, I called you Ashley Larry for like the first year until I feel like we actually became friends. And I was like, his name is Donnell. It's not Ashley Larry.
Yo, when I first saw you, I saw your body. I said, I don't care what that bitch called me. She bad as a motherfucker. You can call me Michael or you can call me Tony. No, I'm just saying, that is so, don't me too me or whatever, but you do.
No, I told you I'm not going to Me Too. First of all, when that whole Me Too thing came out, Donnell did not talk to me for like weeks. He was like, I don't want to get Me Too. Just don't even talk. I don't want to, just stay away. I was like, you're good. You're good. While we're still on the Chappelle Show, give me your top 5 sketches on the Chappelle Show. And like, what sketches do you think should be like documented as the best to go down in history?
I think that would have to, out of no particular order, it would have to be the blind black white supremacist or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Clinton Bigsby.
Yep, I would have to say that. And it would have to be...
White supremacists always weaponize that against me online. They be like, look, Dave Chappelle, he loves racism. I'm like, y'all didn't get the skit.
Oh, man, they weaponize you, boy. I get exhausted reading your thread sometimes. I'll say, fuck them niggas. Let's go kill all them crackers, son.
Right.
And not only that, but, yo, boy, I swear, I don't know how you do it, son. Like, I don't know how a nigga stays socially conscious his whole career, nigga. Like... Yo, I was black. Yo, I almost quit civil rights the other week. I was so frustrated with niggas, man. I was like, oh man. I'll tell you why. But let me answer the question.
Yeah.
My five would be the Tyrone Biggums, Rick James.
Yes, Rick James.
Prince, Player Haters Ball, and the Wayne Brady sketch.
Right. Is Wayne Brady gonna have to slap a bitch?
No, here's the funny part about that. Wayne Brady's a great guy. He really don't get his props as somebody that came from nothing. You know what I mean? It's like, and this is what we fucking do to our own people. You know what I'm saying? Like, because
he can rap too.
Look like you. Yeah, he can sing. The motherfucker can do anything.
He can do anything he wants, yeah.
Yeah, but for somebody, because they didn't have, it wasn't your path, they might not have the swag in their voice like you wanted, and then you judge them. And that's not fair. But the thing that was so interesting about that, Wayne Brady he really is a nice guy. And he did not want to say bitch. Yo, do you understand? We did about 15 takes with different versions. Is Wayne Brady gonna have to grab someone by their neck really hard?
Y'all should put that out as like a compilation.
Yo, and then we was looking at him like, bitch, nigga say bitch.
Right.
And when that joint hit, that was dope. But the honorable mention on that would be, the honorable mention on Chappelle Show would be the when Keeping It Real goes wrong, because that was my idea. God, yes. That was my idea. Those was
classics.
My shit. You know, because it was part of my routine. Yeah.
That's a great skit.
Honorable mention.
Do you know how many times I got in trouble for the what did the 5 fingers say to the face?
I know you were probably really young then. I'm telling you. You were really young. I don't know. You were probably whatever. You probably was in grade school maybe then. Right?
We were just barely old enough to watch the Chappelle Show.
And them kids, man, kids was getting suspended.
For smacking the shit out of each other?
What did I'm Rick James, bitch. People was getting suspended and everything, man. That was so dope.
You did morning radio in fine fashion with Ed Lover and them, and then with Big Tigger and them. But I really enjoy your appearances on The Breakfast Club. And your last appearance on The Breakfast Club, you became one of the greatest memes of all time. Because after you told Envy that his man looked like Big Pun, you fell out your chair, literally.
Yo, they was trying to jump me, son. They was trying to, you got to understand, whenever I go in that room, it's like I'm at war with 3 people. You know what I'm saying? Like Angela Yee is over there with the sniper shot. You know what I'm saying? And Emmy's in the tree, and Charlamagne just keep trying to stab me, you know? So, and I know that we have a funny energy when we do that, but, and I go back and forth. I go hard with Charlamagne on the memes. I just don't know how to stop. I just won't stop. But and here's where I'm never going to fucking stop. I don't give a shit. I'm sorry. I'll be too soon for whatever. But, we have I got a good relationship with them. I think part of the reasons why they play around with me so much is because I'm so cool with them. And whenever I do the show, it's not like it's our guest, it's like your man's. And I had to really think about why do they feel like the purpose of trying to clown me all the time. I don't know that's part of it, but at the same time, and I've said it before, you know, the worst thing you can tell a comedian is he's corny or say they're not funny. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's not too much things I wear on my chest, you know? And the thing is, if you continue to try to create the narrative that I'm not funny, then I'm gonna be like Wu-Tang, nigga. I'm just gonna sew your asshole up and just keep feeding you and keep feeding you and feeding you and feeding you. Son.
I see your sweatshirt, your Wu-Tang sweatshirt. Show the camera.
Yeah, Kyle Christie did this. Yeah.
No doubt. You one of my favorite, I've seen you perform a bunch of times, and you know, and I'm in the room with a bunch of comedians, and they stop and watch what you do, you know. And one of the things that I've seen you do that was the funniest thing, but it was also like a very interesting, a very poignant commentary on schools and how we teach black children. You are clearly a genius to me. You are a comedic genius and you were very smart, but you did this routine, this joke, bro, in the Shaq comedy special about having to read in front of the class. You know what I'm saying?
You trying to get me to read something? I ain't doing it. That was, yo,
just
that
go.
Was a setup.
Just
yo,
go.
Yo, that's why all these books over here, nigga. Yo, this what you doing? You set me up to read, nigga. I ain't doing it. Look,
shit.
Look, you got all type of shit. Yo,
they don't know that we
look at this.
We use the books to put the computer on top of so we can see your face. We technical, but talk to me about the evolution of that joke. And, you know, because you spoke, I feel like you represented a lot of, like, Tory Lanez, who just recently blew up in the quarantine. Not that he wasn't already large, but he did a great job with quarantine radio. And he had made a comment about how he was put in a slow class. And he said, everybody I know that was put in a slow class ends up being really, really efficient in society. It's like, what are we saying about our society when the black kids who are too energetic, too passionate, they might be even smarter than what you reading the book knowledge. They always put them in a slow cut.
It shouldn't be never anything about too energetic, too passionate. It's probably school systems that don't know how to connect with their student individually. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of times you don't have time to do that. You know what I mean? You know, and I wasn't in, when I said I was a special ed, well, I wasn't a special ed, it was like a phase one. They had different phases. Right, phase one was for like it was the cool kids. It was like I know it sounds crazy. I wanted to be in that class. Right, I wanted to be in the class with the kid that's got his finger in the pencil sharpener. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know. But in me, when it comes to school, like I didn't excel in school. I was always the funny dude. I was always the person that made people laugh. But and particularly to that joke. Man, as much as I crack jokes on people, if I had to stand up, if I had to raise my hand to read out loud, I never raised my hand. They had to straight up grab me out my and stand me up. So I was like, please don't let me have to read out loud. But that was more of an insecurity. I didn't want to, you know, the worst thing, especially when you're a funny person, when it's your turn to read out loud, and you mess up one sentence, nigga, they gonna tear your ass up. It's a wrap.
I love that joke, bro. That's such a great joke.
That's fun. That's good. But a lot of that one, like a joke that I did years ago about this kid, Fat Tyrone, taking my bike when I was younger. Most of these jokes, they were built from real life experiences. They started with one of the Fat Tyrone joke. That joke started with me just saying, I was on stage one day and I was like, remember when somebody asked to ride your bike? And you say, my mother said, I can't let nobody ride that bike. That literally started as that premise. And the crazy thing, I started it in DC. And Royale knew what he could do with a premise or a joke. And I was like, he was like, that joke you did, you gonna do that? I said, what joke? He said, the joke about the fat dude taking a bike. I said, nah. He said, let me get it. I said, give me $25, nigga. Right? And he gave me $25, right? Then the next week, I said, let me try this one more time, right? And the next week, I caught the groove on it. And I said, nigga, here go your money back. I want my joke back. I was like, I'm taking my joke back. He said, you can't do that. I said, well, watch it. You ain't gonna be able to do what I did. So here go your punk ass $25, son.
Right.
You did a spoof on Cardi B's Bodak Yellow talking about Instagram comedians that don't actually do stand-up. And then you also talked about on Joe Rogan how stand-up is like the only art form where you can joke and be free. What do you feel about the current state of stand-up right now? Do you have any fears about where it's taking a turn?
No, I'm gonna tell you, you know, it's a lot of older guys. Mostly the older guys have an issue with, they call them Instagram comedians. I'm like, them Instagram niggas was onto something because them motherfuckers ain't stopped moving with the pandemic and the quarantine. Mm-hmm. That was their thing. And I don't have it's different. Like when I started, when you thought of comedian, it wasn't a lot of different types of comedian. It was stand-up comic. It was somebody standing flat-footed with a microphone engaging an audience. Mm-hmm. Now, like when you say comedian, they have the new social media stuff, and it is a form of comedy. But my only issue, not even an issue, my only situation with that, if you're gonna call yourself a stand-up comedian and you ain't got the chops, you know that's not what you really do. You know, either you stay in your lane or at least try to get good. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like one of the things I like Just Hilarious. You know what I'm saying? And it's so tough. What people don't understand is like the Instagram comedians, I kind of compare them to Charlie Murphy's career at the beginning of stand-up, is when Charlie Murphy was selling out venues pretty much as an open micer. Mm. You know what I'm saying?
That's interesting.
He already had a demand.
That's like me as a DJ. It's like me as a DJ. I get booked to do DJ gigs, but I had to learn on the job while other DJs are looking at me like, that nigga is not dope like that. You know what I'm saying?
And then you just say, watch. But you put the work in and you say, watch, I will get dope. And that was it. And that's what I say for like DC Young Fly. Like I like this guy a lot because, you know, he has a look of a movie star. He got the energy. He's going to be a big movie star. Stand-up is only going to be part of it, but he really cares about the art form. He cares about being better. You never guarantee what level you'll reach, but at least try and then just have respect for the art form because it's tough to get to the point where you're good at it, you know? But, no doubt. But I also think that, you know, there's certain times when you know your job is important. And Dave Chappelle, man, I'll just explain this once. I'll just explain this like, it was some time ago when the Me Too joint was kicking off. And I think we was all together, son, that show. Remember he just jumped on stage? And he said something that's really deep. He said, comedians, now it's the time for us to grab our balls because it's our job to make fun of the stuff that's troubling the world. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, and it's moments like that. It's moments like now that I feel great to be a comedian. It's like having relationships with people like that can drop those jewels that really understand what comedy does for an audience. And more importantly, this is what a lot of motherfuckers don't know, it's therapy for us. Yes. That's our couch. That's our couch. Nigga, I ain't getting no pills. Nigga, I gotta get on stage. Right?
Yeah, fuck your couch.
Fuck your couch. Think about it. The best comedians, whatever's happening in your life, you want to go on stage and talk about that. Exactly. Oh, I'm having a baby. I'm talking about that. Oh, I'm getting married. I want to talk about that. I want to kill my baby mother. I want to keep talking about that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, that's our therapy. And even during this pandemic, what's been a tough part for a lot of people is not knowing how to pivot and get that therapy session away from just talking on the microphone. You know?
Right, right. Now, you and me also share the honor of being involved somehow with The Wire. In the first season of The Wire, Black Star songs are all through the episodes. You in The Wire playing Clay Davis' driver, right?
Yes.
Did you know how iconic that show would be when you was doing that role?
I didn't know that. In fact, I'll take it back. The Wire was the spinoff of HBO's The Corner.
Yes. And you was in The Corner too, right?
Yeah, I played a heroin addict. The Corner won 3 Emmys that year. I think it was like 97 or 98. And David Simon is really good about working with some of the same people. It's like he always throw bones. And when I got to The Wire, what a lot of people don't know is the character of Omar, that role came down to me and Mike.
Shout out to Mike.
Robert Colesbury is one of the executive producers when I first went to work for Wire. He said, you know that the Omar character came down to you and Mike. And then after I saw what he did to that character, I was like, nobody would have been able to kill it.
Genius.
The way he did it, you know. But I didn't know how successful that show was going to be, but I felt like something special was happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And because you're working with Calvin Wood, Idris Elba, Reggie Cathy, Clark Peters, Candy Alice, some of the dopest actors, you just felt something was happening. But it just started popping. I was like this, people are addicted to this show. I was like, oh shit, you ain't in a bad place, son. You just was on one of the most iconic comedy shows in the history of television and dramatics. It's a rap. Not a rap, but I'm like, it's like some bucket list shit. A lot of one thing that people don't know, when you watch The Wire, my character, Senator Clay Davis' driver, he was supposed to, that character was supposed to develop. It was supposed to grow. But what happened was Baltimore Tourism Board, they kept getting so much flack about the depiction of Baltimore that they had to switch it from the towers to the docks. So
that's why we have those episodes. That whole season that had took place at the docks.
Yep. The whole storyline changed. And it was because of that. And my character was going to build, but they switched the storyline, so I got lost. There's no way that I'm going to have all that money, son, and not be able to explain it. Where is he going, follow the money? And I had already had plans on how I was going to be like, talk one way when I'm around, when I'm, doing the political shit. And then I was going to put some layers on that shit, but it got lost. And David Simon brought me back for the last season just as a nice little tribute. And that was nice of him because he could have wrote around it. But being a part of that show was amazing. I've been lucky to be able to, you never know how long your career is going to last. You know, how long you're going to be, as the kids say, relevant, whatever. But it's nice to know that some of the things I've done will go down in television history. You know?
No doubt. There's that Cypher Sounds walking around in the back behind me.
Yeah, I see him. You saw him.
You're quarantining.
I don't think Isaiah Whitlock.
Mike J over here tiptoeing around and shit.
Isaiah Whitlock is.
O'Neal Brennan. Oh,
so you're trying to start shit on my show. But man, Clay Davis, Isaiah Whitlock is with that shit. Yeah. Like I really like what he did with that character.
Did you know that he was on Chappelle Show too?
Yes, he was. Yeah. Yes, he was.
He's a talented brother, man.
He is. In all those Spike Lee movies, he did this movie called Cedar Rapids, where he plays an insurance salesman who's a big fan of The Wire. And so, in this movie Cedar Rapids, is Isaiah Whitlock, the actor, playing this like homogenized insurance salesman, and he's so safe and clean and not like with the stereotypical black dude. And he's like, well, I like The Wire. Like I really like Omar. You know what I'm saying? So it was a nice little tribute that he did in that movie.
My father was a heroin dealer for years, right? And he loved The Wire. But the Omar character, he told one time, he said, man, I don't believe that motherfucker, gay motherfucker, sucking dicks and shooting motherfuckers. He said, if you want to catch Omar, throw a bag of dicks out in the courtyard. He'll come out for that.
Oh, Omar coming, all right. Omar coming.
He said he'll come out whistling.
Now, moving ahead. You, you were on The Wire. You were in the military. You spoke on your podcast about almost even joining the police force at one point. Now, in this moment of protests against racist policing, the phrase "defund the police" has gained prominence and moved from the fringe to the mainstream. Where do you stand on just police? What do you have to say about the current pushback to police brutality? And are you a supporter of defund the police?
I'm a supporter of defund the police. I'm also a supporter that, people want to just like, you got to just get a different system. You cannot not have police. You know what I'm saying? you not have police, then you're going to have cartels and different shit that just going to be doing their own policing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, what do you think about community policing though? Like putting that money into social programs. And
no, I agree with that. That's what.
Yeah.
No, I do agree with the defunding part. A lot of people don't understand what it actually means. They think like take their money. It's not as appropriating the money and putting it somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? I think the whole thing. This was the frustrating thing about police brutality, and we know that it's been going on for years, son. And we know it's fucked up. But black people, we start building armor toward it. It's like, I know this sounds crazy. It's like, oh, nigga ain't been killed in a couple months. We about to get one. You know what I'm saying? And like, I don't think it's that situation. It's never going to stop. But the hardest part for black people to deal with was that nobody go to jail. I mean, nobody got to go to jail. And in this particular, and you know, I've been around long enough I've been a part of a lot of marches, been a part of a lot of moments. It's boiled my blood. But I feel like this situation is a little different than other ones because I said on stage, I said, boy, white people, we got y'all motherfuckers apologizing for everything now.
Everything.
Yo, those niggas is coming up like, here, take it. It's a check for the NAACP. It's yours. Here. Yo, if you ain't got a white friend that hasn't wrote a check for the NAACP, they not a real friend. So. You know,
word up.
And then
real woke.
And another side of that for me particularly, because when I was in the Air Force, I was a cop. I wasn't no super cop. So it's tough for me where some people just want to say, fuck the police. It's tougher for me because some of my closest friends were police. Some of my closest friends retired NYPD. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, but it's so fucked up, man, because there are a lot of good cops out there, but they don't get the shine. You know what I'm saying?
And they get fired, if they do the right thing, and they get harassed by the other cops, which creates a system where the only way for them to even really be a good cop is to retire or just not be a cop, and that's a real fucked up proposition for them.
But you know what? Another thing too, most cops aren't cops because they wanted to be in law enforcement. A lot of them are cops because it was a good job.
Right. Same thing with the military.
Saying? The same military.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's like, man, my father was so mad at me when I became a cop in the military. I think he's about to disown me, right? But I'm gonna tell you, when I got back in good grace with him, when I got locked up for 72 hours, man, he was like, I knew it.
He's like, that's my boy.
Yo, he was. Like, he said, out of all my kids, he said, I knew you was the one. I knew it.
Man. But, go ahead, Jess.
The problem is, it seems to be that the amount of good cops are the minority, because if there were more good cops than bad cops, then it wouldn't matter that they were coming forward. They wouldn't be losing their jobs. Yeah,
I mean, like, on the bad cop side, stop killing niggas. You know what I'm saying? Be that bad cop that's stealing drugs and selling, but stop killing motherfuckers.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I know what type of bad cop I would have been. I was like, yo, nigga, I got that weed.
Yeah, I think that's you know, I think what you're speaking on is accurate when you say that people don't join police to be oppressors in their mind. A lot of people have the best of intentions, especially when you talk about black cops who come from poor, violent neighborhoods. They feel like, okay, let me try to be the change I want to see. Let me try to infiltrate the system and maybe make the change. Yeah. You know?
Let me tell you something. On my podcast, I had a cop call, and he was talking about the same thing you're talking about, being a black cop. And I was trying to understand why such a disdain toward black cops, and then why sometimes the black cops are worse than the white cop. And he told me he was in the military. He got out of the military. When he got out of the military, he was looking for a job. He was the only one in his family that graduated from high school. He needed a job, and he thought about being a police officer. And he said that everybody in his family was laughing at him, cracking jokes on him, right? He said one uncle said, take it, it's a good job. Right? And then he said, when he first started, he didn't have a car. And he was from the hood. He used to have to walk from the hood to the police station in his cop uniform. He said they used to treat him like Calvin got a job on Chappelle Show. They would talk shit to him. Yo, they was calling him Uncle Tom's, old police ass nigga, all that type of stuff. So can you imagine when you're trying to do something positive with your life, you know what I'm saying? You're from this community, and the same community you from, people are talking shit to you. That's a side of it that people don't understand. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I
think that what people who go through that got to realize is that the job of the police officer, you are not. We can't judge you the same way we judge the heroin dealer, because the heroin dealer never made a promise to serve and protect nobody. The heroin dealer is not being paid by tax dollars. So if you're being paid by tax dollars, you took that oath to serve and protect, then that means that you serve and protect every American citizen, even the people that hate you. Even the niggas that say fuck the police, your job is to protect them. And if you're not willing to accept that, then maybe a cop is not for you. You know what I'm saying?
Well, see, that's another thing. Another thing might not be a good job to be a cop. If you can't fight, nigga.
Word up.
Yo,
take
nigga,
a karate class.
Yo, you want to be a cop. Yo, you want to be a cop and you ain't got no hands, you gonna shoot somebody, son.
Yo, I just seen in California, I think it was Hawthorne, California, a young lady saw the cops surround a dude. The dude was on his hands and he was on his knees. He had his hands like this, right? And the cops all pulled out, and they pulled out all these guns, and then there was 1 cop, 2 cop, 3 cop, 4 cop, and they pulled out one of the cops had one of them, like, it looked like the blunderbuss from that movie Looper that she pulled out on him. You know what I'm saying? But you know, it's because they can't fight. You know what I'm saying?
Right. If you can't take an ass whooping, don't think about being a cop. And it's so funny because a black cop I was telling you about that used to walk through the hood, he was a big motherfucker, right? He said he used to tell the motherfuckers, look, I'm gonna get off work, right? Then you know the motherfuckers say, yeah, you got that bad. He said, I'm gonna get off work. He said, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna beat you up, right? Yo, son, he didn't say I'm gonna whoop your ass. He said, can you, the pressure of someone telling you, I'm a grown ass man telling you, I'm going to beat you up means you about to get lumped up in everything. He said that he used to put the paws on him without the gun and none of that type of shit. But it's a job. One day, it shouldn't be, how do you find somebody who wants to be a cop? But it definitely shouldn't be a profession where if you have an issue with interacting with people, period, then you shouldn't do it. That's fine. I know it's tough to say, but you got to find something else to do. And also understand that it really is, it's got to be tough being a cop. You know what I mean? And especially in certain areas. You take certain parts of Brownsville when, you know, as a cop, you're supposed to have rules before you engage or pull your weapon. And then on the other side of that, you know, it's people that you come in contact with. It's people out there that they have motherfucking guns and they don't have no rules to their shit. And the cops think that they don't have no rules to their shit, and you do have some rules to your shit. There's procedures you have to go through. And going back to the George Floyd thing, it was just so fucked up and disgusting. You know, it just show you how fucking fearful of a black man. And that's with 4 people on him. You still fear him.
And there was another video that was just released, another angle, and there's like 3 or 4 people yelling at the cops. He can't breathe. He's not breathing. He's not moving. Like, move from his neck. And they just like,
I know, but cops, on some real shit, I know cops be like, that's like a tagline for them. They like, I know them niggas like, can't breathe. That's what they all say, right?
Right, yeah. You seen the thing with the kid, there was the cop that said, I forget the name of the kid that they was on top of, but the guy was like, I can't breathe, and the cop was on tape saying, fuck your breath.
Yeah.
That's how they really feel.
You know they got, it's so fucked up, because you know they get to the police station, they got their fucking jokes and shit like that. But again, these motherfuckers, I think it's going to be a shift, you know what I'm saying? And as much as, you know, the advancement we're getting, whatever, it's going to be, it's going to be day by day, it's going to be year by year. But something has to stop, because the shit's going to get crazy. But they now, I mean, I always said it, start locking these motherfuckers up and start them. Yo, what the cop don't want to do? That pension. That's all they talk about.
Yes, hit the pensions.
Yo, the pension. That's all they talk about is that goddamn pension. They gotta get my pension, get the full pension, got my pension, get my they work in the field for the pension. You start hitting them right there, hit them with some money and put some of them in jail. When you can just be reckless and take the law in your own hands and you know there's a chance of the chance of you beating it, what do you gotta show? It's so easy for you to say, if a motherfucker twists his shoulder, oh, he was resisting arrest. Okay, but does that mean you have to shoot this motherfucker? Right. You got a motherfucker handcuffed. You know what I'm saying? Does that mean that you have the right to take this motherfucker's life? And they feel like they can. They know the only thing they need is a little bit of proof on why I'm gonna kill this man.
Man. Like they say all the time, give me a reason. They be like, give me a reason, you know?
Yeah. And again, like, it's a long way to go, but it starts with these motherfuckers got to start doing some time. They ain't gonna like that shit. They're gonna, I'm not saying snitch on your man, but you're gonna second guess a lot of shit knowing like, yo, they're gonna look at it like this. He caught the 3rd degree, I caught manslaughter, whatever. But it's the same thing. Conspiracy, yo, I'm not going down with you on that shit. It'll switch. Right. It's gonna be some time, but it's gonna switch, motherfuckers. Start putting the motherfuckers in jail.
Word up. Now, Donnell Rawlings, it's been an honor and pleasure to have you on the show. I really appreciate your time and your energy. Tell us about what you got going on. I mean, you and me out here quarantining in Yellow Springs, so I know we got going on for the next couple of weekends, but just in general, what's next for Donnell Rawlings? Well,
what's been good for me, because I get the question, I know it's got to be crazy not doing stand-up, but I've replaced stand-up time with daddy time, so that pandemic on that
Show
side
them your hat.
Show them
your hat.
My man, dads are cool too. One of my little youngest I helped raise, not my son, but I was dating his aunt. He came with his own line doing that. So Timothy Havens, shout out. I've been making a pivot. You know, I just started doing my podcast maybe 6 or 7 months ago, and it couldn't have come at a better time. And I've been putting a lot of my energy into that. I started a candle line. I know it sounds crazy, but I came up with this candle called Black Ash, and it helps it helps eliminate the twerk odor. It helps eliminate blunt smells. And it's a really good candle. It's made out of saddlewood, lavender, ambergris. It's 100%.
I seen you in the Breakfast Club with the lavender.
Oh yeah, John. Who gave me that fucking? What's the Dwight boy to hang with Dave?
John Mayer.
Guitar nigga. John Mayer. Yeah, John Mayer. I said the guitar nigga. Yo, the guitar nigga. But I've been doing that. I've been able to create some other financial situations for myself away from traditional stand-up. But I've just been. This quarantine has really make me feel like I want to be more in power of my career. You know what I'm saying? Of things I do, because it was a reality check. Like when this shit happened, like as comedians, we're literally unemployed. You know what I'm saying? So you got to figure out something else. You got to figure out how you're going to support yourself if those tour dates go away. It was the toughest thing for any comic to deal with. What am I going to do now? And I've always had like an entrepreneur spirit, but I didn't have to do it because I'm a road rat. I'm like this. Oh, look at my calendar. You know, this business, son.
Same with me.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like this. Motherfuckers, I remember it was one time, you would call me for a gig. It could be next Thursday. They'd be like, what you got next Thursday? Nigga, I ain't got nothing. Send me the deposit, right?
Right.
Well, the show might happen. Y'all decide that, right? Y'all do that. But give me this deposit right now.
Hit him the next day like, yo, did that deposit come in yet?
Yo, you know that deposit hustle. Like, yo, I ain't moving till I get that deposit, right?
No doubt.
And so I was so happy to be able to get to a point where, you know, like I had a full calendar for a year. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, shit. But now that's gone. I'm doing this candle thing. I'm creating some different type of opportunities. But I'm staying creative. That's the hardest thing to do doing this. You still got to be thinking. You pushing it. You know what I'm saying? You always pushing something else. You know what I mean? Like, always pushing something else. You always got something to show a nigga on your phone, son. Yo. You like, yo, we got this. You know what I'm saying? But,
no doubt.
You know, you pivot. and you make moves. The candle is on my website, the Donnell Rawlings Show. It's a very nice smelling candle. That's what else? The Donnell Rawlings Show and my candle, and I love my son to death.
No doubt. And with that, I want us to give all the flowers to Donnell Rawlings that he deserves. Brother, I love you. Thank you for doing the People's Party. People's Party is Donnell Rawlings. Give it up.
Jasmin.
Yes.
You look so beautiful, man. That glow looks good on you. I'm
yes,
so proud of you.
Jasmin.